And we're back. I know it's been a while, but we're back, baby. And today I'm going to give you a no-nonsense guide to tritone substitutions. Tritone substitutions are a topic that I had a lot of trouble with when I was younger, understanding. And I think that's because a lot of people get wrapped up in the theory behind tritone substitutions, because it's interesting and it's mildly complicated, but very few people talk about it in a way that is functional so that you can actually utilize them in an improvisational setting. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to teach you how to think about tritone substitutions in a way that's not complicated, so you can use them on the spot. So first and foremost, a tritone substitution is a substitution you can use for the 5 chord and a 2-5-1. You can use them in a 3-6-2-5-1 as well, but we'll talk about that in another video. So to stay with the 2-5-1s, the simplest way I can explain to think about it is a minor 2, and then a flat 2, a dominant flat 2, and then a 1. So instead of a 2-5-1, you do 2 flat 2 1. That's the simplest way to think about it. We're going to keep it right there for now. I'll explain later in the video exactly how tritone substitutions function, but to make it simple, we're going to stay right there. So this tritone substitution, the 2 flat 2 1, gives you some really interesting color tones and passing tones to use in turnarounds when you're navigating 2-5-1s. But in my opinion, the easiest way to understand something is to see it. So for that, we're going to go to the piano and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's take the key of C, because it's all the white keys, and let's take a look at what a tritone substitution is. So quickly for review, your regular 2-5 turnaround is 2-5-1. Or, here's your minor 2 chord, 1 flat 3 5 7, to your 5 chord, it's in second inversion, which is 5 7 1 3, to your root. It's simple turnaround, probably the simplest one there is, and very effective. As you can hear, super effective turnaround. Now what happens with your tritone substitution, instead of a 2-5-1, you have a 2 flat 2 1, 2 flat 2 1. So let's look at what's happening in the chords here. So you have the minor 2, and then that becomes your dominant flat 2. Very effective turnaround. It gives you a lot of melodic choices and some very beautiful color tones. But if you look what's going on here, you have the minor 2, minor chord, and then it's very important that your flat 2 stays dominant. And let's look at this, because this is D flat. So D flat dominant has what? It's got the flat 2 in it, or flat 9, which really wants to resolve down. There's a lot of tension there. The 3 of D flat is the 4 of C. And as we all know, the 4 wants to move down. Very strong resolution there. Now the 5 of D flat is the flat 6 of C. So this here really wants to resolve to the 5. So you have these create a lot of tension, are really pushing you back to C. So you have this so far. Now the flat 7 of D flat, so here's D flat, here's the 7. The flat 7 is B, or C flat, enharmonically, however you want to think about it. This flat 7 of D flat is now the leading tone of C. It really wants to push to C. So you have D flat, F, A flat, and then the flat 7, C flat. There's a lot of tension here, and this all wants to resolve. So instead of your 2-5-1, you have 2 flat 2 1, which looks like this. It's a very interesting turnaround, and like I said, it gives you a lot of very interesting melodic figures and color tones to work with. So if you look at what this is though, so with your minor 2, you are in the key of C. Your 2 is all diatonic to C. When you play your flat 2 dominant, it gives you a bunch of interesting color tones. So here you're in the key of C, right? So your flat 2 is... So you have a flat 9 to work with, a flat 3, a 4, you have a flat 5, a flat 6, a flat 7, and your leading tone, and then you're back to the 1 of the flat 2. So you have a lot of tones to work with to resolve you back to C. So that's how tritone substitutions work, and there's a couple of notable jazz melodies and licks from back in the day that utilize tritone substitutions, and you'll probably hear them all over the place now. But one is the tune Laura, which was written by David Raskin, I believe, and Charlie Parker made it famous. Charlie Parker with strings. but it goes like this. There's that one that also is a very famous jazz lick. There's also another Charlie Parker lick made famous, I believe, from the melody Ornithology. So there's a bunch of different ways you can utilize the tritone substitutions. There's really cool passing tones and color tones. But we're going to talk about that in another video where I'm going to go over a bunch of different ways you can approach 251s and 3/6 251s using tritone substitutions, and I'll have the sheet music as well for that. So you guys can pause it and check it out and learn it yourself. So let's talk about, like I said in the beginning of the video, exactly how tritone substitutions work, because there is some theory behind them that's important to know from a learning standpoint, because there's certain licks where you are arpeggiating and working things in a certain way that it helps to know exactly where things are coming from. So like I said, tritone substitution, 2, flat 2, 1. Quickest way to think about it when you're in the moment. A tritone substitution is a substitution that's a tritone away from the chord you're substituting. So for instance, you're substituting a tritone for the 5 in a 2-5-1. So your tritone is a tritone away from the 5 chord. So 5 in the key of C is G. So what's a tritone away from G? That's a sharp 4 or a flat 5 away from the key you're in. So if we're in G, G, A, B, C, it's 4, sharp 4, C sharp, or flat 5, D flat. So that's the chord you're substituting. So you're tritone away from the 5. But what is D flat? That is the flat 9 or the flat 2 of the key you're in. So it's much quicker improvising to think D, D flat, C instead of D, wait, G, and now a tritone away from G is G, A, B, C, C sharp. By the time that happens in the moment is past. Usually you don't have time to think that fast. But it's an important thing to know because of how some of these arpeggios work when you're playing these classic jazz licks. So there you have it. Now you understand how tritone substitutions work. And in the next video, I'm going to go over a bunch of different licks and melodies that use tritone substitutions on 2-5-1s and 3/6 2-5-1s, so you can learn a little more about them and hopefully start incorporating those things into your own playing. So thanks for joining me. It's good to be back, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Tritone substitution. Tritone substitutions. Tritone substitutions. Tritone substitution. 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 Tritone substitutions. Tritone substitution. Tritone substitution. Tritone substitution. Tritone. 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 Tritone away. Tritone substitution. Tritone substitution. Tritone substitution.